Mandala. It's a really interesting way of drawing designs. This will take me around about 20 minutes to show you the basics. But then it's down to you to kind of make this even more detailed and more kind of complete yourself. It will probably take you around about an hour, potentially 2 hours to do this. But there's kind of no end to it. I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about in a second. But just be aware, it does take a wee bit of time to create something really, really nice and interesting. But once you do it, that's brilliant. The process is really calming and allows you to reflect. And I think I really enjoy it. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So this is one I done earlier. I actually done this last week. I actually tried to record this tutorial, or actually I did record this tutorial and then I deleted it. So I'm doing it again. So we're going to do a mandala. Every time you do it, it's different. You know, you'll end up with a different result, and that's kind of the idea. So basically, what you'll need to do this type of design is a compass. Okay, so this is one that I got in the pawn shop. I got a wee set up like this one here. Okay, and you'll need a compass. You'll need a ruler. Doesn't have to be this size, but just any ruler that'll fill your circle essentially that you're going to draw with your compass. Your pencil, of course, sharpened, and then some markers. So the markers that I'm using are pigment liners, but you can use any markers that you have at home. And the ones that I'm going to use are mainly these two here. So 0.2 and 0.5. So one slightly thicker than the other. It's just to give slightly better detail. That's it. But if you just have the one or a pencil or anything like that, you can still do everything that I'm going to show you. So just to recap, a compass, a marker, a pencil, and a ruler is basically everything that you need. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So we'll need a new page. Oh, yes, we need paper as well. So you'll need to get yourself some paper. Okay, so the paper that I'm using is literally just a sketchbook from the pawn shop. And that's essentially what it is, nothing more special than that. So what I'm going to do first of all is find the center of my page, and I'm going to do a circle where I want to stop my design. Okay, so this is going to be the size of my design. I don't want to do it too big because we'll be here all day. Actually, that's quite big. That's okay though. We'll work it out. So to use a protractor, you're kind of digging into your paper a wee bit, not too much, and then you're kind of just following the curve. Okay, so what I want to do next is do another couple of circles. So I'm going to do one right in. Okay, now yours doesn't have to be the exact same. You can just do random circles, and I'll show you how to design with what you have. It doesn't have to be the exact same as mine at all. So I'm moving the protractor. What you can do is you can actually move your page around as well and keep the protractor steady if that's something that you want to do. It's really down to yourself as to what way you want to do it. Okay, so a smaller line next. So this is my third line. Okay, the outer line and then this one. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to move this out a wee bit more now and do a slightly bigger one. Like so. And as I say, I'm making this up as I go along. And I think that's really good too, because you're letting your mind wander rather than saying it has to be this, it has to be that, it has to be the other. I think it works slightly better if you do it like this. So this one's very, very close to the last circle that I drew. Now, these are just guides, by the way. You know, we're probably going to rub these out or draw over the top of them with a pen later, so they don't have to be exactly perfect or anything like that. So don't worry too much if they're not 100%. And even now, when I'm gonna probably just stop after this one, or maybe just do one more. So basically, yeah, you know, I might add something else to this. I might say I want a line in here, or I want a line in there. just because I think it'll make the overall design better. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Now, okay, I think that's pretty cool. So I'm just having a wee think here now as to what I can do next. So there's different designs that you can actually incorporate into this. I'm going to actually just draw a couple of these here now on the side of the page. So like, give you a wee example here of some of the things that we're going to use, some of the designs. So I'll just do this down here, okay? Or maybe I'll do this on another page. Make it easier to see. Okay, right, so these are the shapes that we're going to use inside our mandala. Okay, so something like this. I'm just going to do a couple of lines here, and then basically some of the shapes that we'll be using will be something like this. So it takes a wee bit of time to get the knack of these and try and have them kind of all the one size and the one length and the same breadth. All right, so this is going to be some of the designs that we're going to use. All right, looks pretty simple and basic, but that's one. And then basically you get different iterations in. So like I'm going to incorporate this design in. So basically you'll have a long line, short line, long line, short line, long line, short line. So this is good just to kind of get a bit of practice in as to what we're going to use in the sketch or in the mandala itself. Okay, so you see the idea anyway. So we'll do a few others and then we'll move back to your mandala. So this one could be literally circles. Circles are kind of hard to draw if you haven't really done a lot of them before. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to make them all roughly the same size, and of course circular, and even like the gaps between them is important as well. So you want to try and keep them, you know, as similar as possible. They don't have to be exactly right. You know, if you've seen some of the ones that I've done in the past, that's even if they're not exactly right, it works out fine. So these are some of the designs that we're going to use. I'm going to do maybe two more, and then we'll move back to the mandala. Okay, so these are what you would do. There's kind of two different setups. These would be the shapes that you would make. Okay, shapes, and then below this you would have things to fill in certain gaps, like say something like this. Okay, so I'm just roughly doing this at the minute. It'll make more sense once we hop into the mandala setup. Okay, so these are like pointed petals. All right, and you can continue to move on to do some of these designs. So these don't look like much at the minute, but they will do by the time we're done. So let's move back now to the rough mandala outline. Okay, so okay, so let's start doing this now. See how we can get on and see exactly how we can start making some cool shapes. So we can break this up into sections, and I think this is the easiest way to do it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw myself some guides. Okay, so I'm going to break this up into sections. So I'm going to draw a line straight down the middle, like so, and then another line directly across the center as well, something like that. No, I'm not measuring this. You know, you can measure it yourself if you want it exactly right, but you get the idea. So I'm doing 4 lines, which gives me 8 divisions. Right? So 4 lines, 1 down, 1 across, one on the other, on the left side, one on the right side, and you're going from one end to the other, and you get 8 divisions. Okay, so I can even divide this up again if I want to, just to give me even more flexibility. So I'm going to do another line. Okay, so that's 5 lines. Say that's roughly the middle. 6 lines. 7 lines. You'll know where you have to put your lines as well, because the slices will be thicker than the ones that are already there. 7 lines. So can you see the last one? Hopefully you can. It is here. Okay. 8. Okay, so this is going to give me lots of guides to help me do my design. Okie dokie. So without further ado, I'm going to start doing some designs here now. So we'll see how this pans out. So I'm going to put down the pencil, and I'm going to have a wee look at some of my markers. So I'm going to use a finer one first. So I'm going to start off with this section. So there's like, I think there's 16. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, so I'll do a dot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 divisions in there. Okay. And that's right across as well. So if what I'm going to do here in this first one is like a heart shape. Okay, so I'm going to go right down to the center, and I'm going to follow the first line up like so, and then I'm going to go down like this, and then back up and follow the line right beside it down like so. And I'm going to repeat this process now the whole way across. I'm actually going to use a thicker pen for this as well. It'll give me a wee bit straighter lines. There we go. That's more like it. That's what I'm after. So I'm going to do this the whole way across here now, and that they should all match up in the middle. Follow the line, do the heart shape like so. So we have to do 16 of these, and see, once you get into a wee rhythm, you start speeding up. But remember, it's not a race. You know, you're doing this just to kind of get a wee bit creative and get lost in the moment of it. So remember just to take your time. You're in no rush, and I think the slower you do this, actually, the better it looks. And if you can see, I'm going right down to the bottom each time I do one of these, because it seems to flow a wee bit better when you do your heart shape. So I'm going to write down here, but the line is kind of already there from the last one, but I just think it looks better if you do it like this. But if you find a wee way that works for you, you go ahead and use that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this exactly the way that I'm doing it. Maybe you find a flow that works for you. If you do, that's grand. Go with it. See what happens. Everybody kind of does these in a slightly different way, and I think the more of them you do, the more you know what way will work for you. Okay, so last one. This is number 16. There we go. So there's the first design. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to do a circle around here. So I'm just kind of outlining the circle, basically, that's already there. We drew that with a pencil earlier on, and basically what that does is it just tidies the tips up here of what we've just done. And if you really want to, what you can do is you can get in to the top of the heart shape there and color in any sections that let's show you what I mean here. I'm just going to dot this in, you'll see it. So where the wee arch at the top of the heart is, you can just color those parts in black, so it looks a bit tidier. Okay, so that's the first section done. So then we have to decide what we're going to do with the next section. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just go over the outline of the circle. And again, I'm going to just do this nice and slowly. I'm in absolutely no hurry at all. I want it to be as nice and round as possible, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm looking forward to see what you do. I hope you do something slightly different from this as well. Because if everyone does something slightly different, that means we've got loads of different styles to look at, and we can all basically have a look at each other's and compare them and see what you've done and why yours is different from somebody else's. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is kind of have a look at some of those other designs that we were doing on the other page. Some of these designs here, and just kind of work out how we can incorporate some of these into what we have so far. So what I'm thinking is we could do something like, there's loads of things we can do. It just depends on what way you want to go. What about if we do something like this? So we'll do a big line. We'll actually just do lines the whole way across. So I'm just following the lines that we've already done with pencil, and I'm just going over the top of them, like so. As you can see, I'm moving the paper around. It just makes it a wee bit easier, I think, rather than trying to do an awkward angle. Just move the page and then you don't have to. So what I'm going to do next then is I'm going to do a line that kind of does this. Right, it's kind of morphing into the next section, as you can see. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this just yet. I'm experimenting. It's always good to experiment a little when you're doing this, just to keep it interesting for you. Okay. And if you do something you think that isn't working, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that you can use then to kind of alter it and change it. So I'm happy with that so far. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to this section here. And what I want to do is draw something that resembles a petal. So if you're not sure how to do a petal, it's kind of like almost like two semicircles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back around here, and I'm going to start on this section here. I'm going to find this center. So if you think of this as a bit of a rectangle, you want to find the top part right in the center. So I'm going to put a wee dot there. And then what I'm going to do is do a kind of semicircular shape, and I want the bottom part to meet down here. So something like that. And then the same on the other side. There you go. Simple as that. So now we have to do, well, how many do you think we have to do? What did we do before? Was it 16? What you can also do then in here is you can do a circle like that. Okay, so this is all about repetition, and the more of these you do, the more you kind of get into a flow as to what works. And it's all about creating, you're repeating this design the whole way through, and then you pick another design. You do that the whole way through that section, and you go on and you go on and you go on, and this is how you start making some really interesting designs. I'm going to show you then how to start tying these things together. I'm going to do this first of all, though. I'm going to go right out to this side and bring that back in again. Something like that. Okay, I'll do the coloring in afterwards. So again, a wee dot here to keep me right. something like that. Now, not all of these are the exact same, and that's fine. Because if I was to do this exactly right, I'd be here all day. So would you. So, but you'll get the idea. There we go. And you start getting into a flow. But just remember, try not to go too fast unless you're really, really good at this. I haven't done a massive amount of these, to be fair. So you might be quicker than me. If you are, that's fine. But again, just remember, it's not a race. You're doing this to kind of chill out and enjoy doing a wee bit of creative design. And the thing with these types of designs is you could quite easily scan this into a computer. And then once you have it in a computer, there are certain programs that you can use that you can put this design onto a t-shirt or a mug, or even like imagine this being a saucer. You could eat your toast off in the morning, and you have your own design on it. Wouldn't that be cool? So there's ways to do that as well. And maybe what we'll do is we'll have a look at all of that at some point once we get back into tuned in, and maybe we can take some of these designs and make something out of them. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Okay, right. So now what I'm going to do is start coloring these sections in, and I'm just doing a black circle essentially. Okay, like so. So I think this is starting to come together already. And how long is that taking? Around about, say, 15 minutes so far. And obviously, if I'm chatting away here to you as well. So if you practice this by yourself, I'm sure you'll do it much, much quicker. So what do you think of that so far? Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll keep going. So next, we're kind of thinking, what other designs can we do now? What would be good for this? What's the next one? So basically, what I would do is pop another circle in there next, right? So, or just kind of cover the outline of this one. So I'm going to just do this circle here, and it's a really good way to tie stuff together, just to do these circles. Here we go. And again, I'm moving the page around to get the angle that I need to do a nice circle. So you see what you need to do yourself. And even like, I'm not finished with these petals. I'm going to go around and do more design there, I think, as well. And I'm just going to do this one also. And we're almost done with this. So the next thing that we have to think of is what we're going to do inside here. Now, what I might do inside there is actually just colour it all black, just to have it pop out a wee bit. I'm not sure yet. What I think I'm going to do next is maybe have a look at adding some more character, these petals. I think we can definitely do some more with that. So a couple of options. We could, for example, put a line right down the middle, and then have lines coming out like so. And then we're starting to get some really interesting design here. And as you can see, not taking this too literal. You know, some of these might look a wee bit different, which is grand. Um, but yeah, I'll try and keep them roughly looking the same. And when you're doing your lines, try and keep, try and make sure you don't go out past, say, the edge of uh, this leaf, I guess we'll call it. If you can keep that as tidy as possible, it'll look much better. If you do go outside this grand, there's always ways to kind of hide that and fix it up a wee bit, so don't panic if you do. And if this is your first one, hopefully you'll do more. So you can always put your first one down to a practice and keep going. And the more of these you do, the better you'll get at it. As I said before, I haven't done many myself. Not freehand anyway. I've done ones on a computer for certain designs. But there's something really rewarding about just sitting with a piece of paper and a marker and a pencil and just letting your mind wander. You can't do that as much on a computer, or I suppose you can, but it just doesn't feel the same. So I'm really looking forward, or I'm really happy that I'm not looking at a computer and I'm looking at a page, because I work with computers quite a lot. So it's nice. It's a nice wee change for me, and hopefully it's a nice wee change for you. Okay, so clearly there's 16 of these, so it does take a wee bit of time to do each one. So once you see me doing one, you can always speed up the video on your end if you're happy enough with how to do certain things. Here we go, last one. Beautiful. Okay, so that's really starting to take shape. So what I could do now is, there's a couple of things that I can do. I could try and tie what's going on up here into this as well. So, for example, what I could do is too many options. I really do have loads of options here. I can't make up my mind. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this whole section in here black, and then I'm going to kind of do a different design after that. Okay, so I'm going to use the brush marker for this because it just doesn't take as much time. We can kind of fly through it a wee bit quicker and easier, or quicker anyway. I'm not sure about the easier part. Okay, and this will add a lot of depth to the design that we've done so far. So I'm going to show you then after this how to do 2 more shapes, and then I'm going to leave the rest to you because I want you to experiment and explore yourself and come up with your own shapes and ideas. And don't be afraid to try something. If it doesn't work, don't worry, you can try again. The more you experiment and explore with this, I think the better you become at it. There is certain ones that you'll find yourself using a lot, and they're ones that's been used with anyone doing this type of design, and that's the ones that I've shown you there earlier on. So I'm going to incorporate some of them in next, see what you think. And you might do, you could be starting off with that design and then do a slightly different version of it or something like that. Sometimes when you're starting off as well, it's hard to come up with your own design, so sometimes it's good just to use the ones that are already there, and then once you have something down, you can say, I wonder what that would be like with adding this texture or this shape inside that one, and then you kind of make it your own by doing that, I guess. So there we go. That's really starting to come together there now, I think. Okay, let's see there. Yeah, very nice. Okay, excellent. So next stage now is I'm going to draw a different shape. So we're going to do, maybe have a look at this one. I like this one a lot. Okay, so what you need to do is find your center point again. So what I'm going to do is, if you have a look at the way this shape comes up here, I'm going to try and do this shape in the middle of two of these. So I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to do it here. All right. So basically, I'm going to find the center point here and the center point here. Right. Then what I'm going to do is take this section and do something like that. And then you do like the mirror image on the other side. So if I now do one here, you'll see what happens now when they join up. Like so. And this is really nice when you go around. So your wee dots help. I might just go and do that now with each one. You don't have to do this, but I find that it helps. So I'm going to do it, but you can figure it out your own way if you like. There we go. Didn't take long. Right, so same again now. And I'm just drawing a line and curving it. And I'm trying to get them to look as similar as possible, but also enjoying the process. So these are like pointed petals. You can do absolutely loads just with this one design. Okay, and I've just had a wee word with myself there to slow down because I'm kind of rushing and it's not flowing as good as it should. So if you're having a similar experience, just try slowing down. It's funny, this is very, very similar to making music. I would experiment with making a lot of different types of music, and it's all about repetition and patterns and cycles of sound. But here we're looking for patterns and repetitions and cycles of imagery, lines and circles and so on and so forth. You know, but it's a very similar thing. It really is. So maybe this helps with music making as well, and vice versa. You know, it's all a way to express yourself in one way or another, which is always good. Right, there we go. Starting to take shape now, isn't it? So there's a couple of things that we can do with this. Say, you know, in here I could do another type of maybe like a wee circle, something like that. And then above that, do another, maybe a finer circle. So I'll just do this whole way around. And it's the small detail that makes the difference, really. You know, once you start putting stuff in here, you see how important it is to your design. You know, by itself, it's nothing, but then when you start adding it all together, it's quite a lot. So let's get a slightly thinner one next. So hopefully you're starting to get into a wee bit of a flow yourself. You know, once you kind of get this far, it's like, right, brilliant. What am I going to do next? How am I going to tie all this together? So I'm going to do another wee semicircle here, like so. So this is a finer marker. So this line's thicker than this one. It's nearly twice as thick, actually. So, very nice. And some of these shapes might mind you of other things that you've seen before. I'd be interested to know if any of you have seen this type of design in the past, but you weren't sure what it was. So now the next time you see it, you know it's a mandala. And I think the design either originated or is used a lot in Indian design. Um, you see it, a lot. It kind of looks like a dream catcher as well, doesn't it? It's that kind of vibe. Okay, so what next? Well, maybe what I want to do next is tie this in a wee bit better here. So what I could do is figure out maybe if I do like a V shape here, like that. So one line down, one line up, and I'm just doing a line down to the pencil drawing that we made before and back up again. So it's all about trying to find that symmetry. And as I say, the more you do this, the more you'll see these things. You'll be all right. Okay, if I put a wee line there and I color that in, that'll tie that section to the other section above it or below it or whatever. And before you know it, you'll be an absolute pro. But as I say, this is more for uh, relaxing and enjoying. Okay, so this one's almost done, and I'm thinking now, should I color this section in? So, and there's different ways that you can color in, of course. So, um, what I could potentially do. See, this all looks like if it's tied in now, and I like that. So maybe this section, I'm going to draw another line. So I'm going to go to the center point, and up here, I'm going to draw one more line. And this is what I was saying earlier on. You can always change your mind. So if you have something done and you think, hey, one more circle would be pretty cool, pop it in. It's down to you at the end of the day, isn't it? So middle point is here, and then say here and here. So I'm just kind of breaking that up into smaller divisions, and I'm going to use the slightly thicker marker on this one. Just making sure you can see there as well. So I'm going to go right out of here and down, right back up and down, and going to do that right across. Okay, so I'll need to do another line here as well. Actually, I might just do that now, so this all makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this line here, and then we need to figure out what we're doing below that as well. So it's all about figuring out ways to tie things together, so it doesn't feel like if what you're doing is separate, different, or disjointed. If that makes sense. There we go. And then we'll do another line above. I'm going to leave the line above though until last. So I'm going to move, let's say halfway. That's halfway. Okay, cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this one takes a bit of time. If anyone's good at maths, 16. So there's 16 of these sections, and there's 4 in each one. So that's 64 of these I have to do. All right, so it soon starts adding up, doesn't it? But then, sure, that's okay. If you're not in any rush, doesn't matter. Yeah, this is really starting to take shape now. So after this one, I think I'm going to leave it there because I want you to experiment and explore and come up with some shapes yourself. So what I'll do is I'll finish this one, and then I'll do the last circle here, and then I'm going to leave the last wee bit for you, just to see what you come up with. And as I say, it's going to be class because everyone will do something slightly different. So it'll be interesting to see everyone's different ideas as to how they want to finish their mandala. Okay, I'm actually going to just keep going here because I think you get into a wee rhythm and I keep stopping, and I think it's spoiling my flow. So I'm going to just keep going instead of marking everything out. I have a rough idea now what size they should be. But you work yours whatever way you want. Whatever you're comfortable with. Because what works for me might not necessarily work for you, and vice versa. Okay, almost there. My hand's getting sore now. There's that many of these to do. But sure, we've got our wee rhythm now, so it's not too bad. Okay, so there we go. Now, just quickly, what I might do is, let's say, figure a way to tie these together. Let me just do this other line here because it's annoying me. I'll get this done first. Get about, if idea is to do about 5 different things at once, and that can be a wee bit dangerous because sometimes you're not fully focusing on any one thing. So it's always good to try and keep your focus when you're doing this as well. Now, what I would probably do is the wee gaps in between here, and I'd probably fill those in as well, but I'll do that another time. But just to give you a wee tip, because I think that would look even nicer when done. So this kind of reminds me of like stained glass windows a wee bit too. You could potentially make this into that. There would be no reason why not. Okay, so let's see. I want to do one last thing. I want to kind of tie, let's say if I go into the center, actually just do this dot. It doesn't have to be anything too hectic to tie stuff together. Something as simple as a dot on a page might be all you need. Brilliant. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so look, I'm going to leave that there. I could sit here all day, but I won't. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. So brilliant. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what you do. If you do something like this, please share it with us on the Facebook page. That would be amazing. We'd love to share it around and show everyone what you've done. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks a million, folks. See ya.